It's That Popular Podcast. Mitch Prinstein is a psychology professor at UNC Chapel Hill and the former chief science officer at the American Psychological Association. Aaron Keck is a political scientist and award-winning radio host. Together, they discuss the popular and not so popular quirks of human behavior. Welcome into That Popular Podcast. Now, here's Mitch and Aaron.
It's time for our new episode of the podcast. Mitch, how's it going?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing good. You just semi-recently got back from a trip away.
I was just in LA. I'm glad that I'm back because, well, two things. One is I totally got sunburnt because in North Carolina, you know when it's hot enough that you might get, or when the sun is directly, on you.
Right.
And it's so cool and not humid and beautiful that it just didn't dawn on me like, oh, all the sunshine might be bad. So I was kind of a lobster there. But I say I'm glad I'm back because I had flight stuff. Like if there's a drizzle in Topeka, then for some reason that affects the flight in LA.
Of course, right, right.
Flights delayed, maybe canceled, start getting texts, or whatever through the app, like notifications and stuff from the airline. Oh yeah, click here and talk with one of our agents or whatever, and you can do the whole thing over text, which is great because if you've ever walked by like the airline booth in the airport, forget it. I mean, it's like 3 days long. Who's standing on that line and thinking that they're going to make a flight in the next 24 hours,
right.
So great. Oh my God. Thank God. Like, I love this notification. Is this because I've flown many times? I don't know, but I'm all over it. So I'm, sending the texts and everything. And it just starts to occur to me that I'm getting things worded in a way that is either someone where English is not their first language and they're following a script, or maybe I'm just getting someone who's cutting and pasting information from the airline website and putting it in there. It takes me longer than I care to admit that maybe I'm not even speaking with a human being at all.
You're talking to AI.
I'm talking to AI.
Right.
So, oh my God, like it is not good enough to help me in this situation because it's not like I have a straightforward situation. There's like some weird travel thing. So I'm just banging my head against the wall with this thing. Like, come on. And I'm staring at the line and I'm thinking, I'm just never getting out of here. So I'm very excited to be
back. Yeah. What you do in that situation is you go up to an individual gate of that airline and talk to an individual person there, and they will help you immediately in order to get you the hell away from their gate so that they can deal with the actual people that they have to board on their flight.
Yeah, I have tried that. I have found over the years that they are more and more inclined to be like, no, you have to go to you have to go to our booth, whatever, on 8 terminals away, take the subway, walk across the tarmac, blah, blah, blah.
Especially at LAX, where it actually is 8 terminals away.
I mean, it was crazy, but it's got me thinking about all of what's happening with AI.
Okay.
So while I was there in LA, there are billboards all over the place for a necklace. I don't know if this is like a brand or whatever, and I don't want to badmouth a brand, but I'll just say that the necklace is advertised to be your close companion and compadre.
Okay.
Apparently you wear it around your neck all the time. It's listening to every single word you say. It may even have some sort of camera capabilities. So it's also able to see everything in your visual field as well.
Interesting.
Do you
I was going to say, like, it sounds like your phone, which is already doing all of these things, but you keep your phone in your pocket so it can't see everything. Yeah.
So let me ask you, would you like, knowing that this information is ostensibly to help you, but also probably offering data to someone
big time
somewhere, would you like to wear a necklace that listens to your every heartbeat, breath, word expressed, and everything you're seeing that it sees to pump that to whomever?
I mean, I don't even like wearing necklaces to begin with.
Well, that's probably
first
the bigger
and foremost, no. Secondly, absolutely not. Like, I don't need that.
Oh my, it's just... This is insane because, all right, so this is super, super tragic, but what's happening is that a lot of this is happening with kids.
Yes.
And they are, so now recent data say that 50 to 75% of teens around high school age are talking to AI chatbots.
Correct.
And they're doing it on, they're either character-based platforms where it's like, hey, I am Luke Skywalker, or I am Billie Eilish, or I am whatever. And I actually have never been on these, so I'm not sure whether they purport to be the human Billie Eilish, or if
people
it's
think
like
they're actually talking to the real person.
Or if it's like,
or not.
I am somehow Billie Eilish's personality downloaded into this chatbot, you're essentially the same as talking to...
Right.
I don't know, but then there's also ChatGPT, which is able to similarly we kind of engage in ongoing long conversations. And the thing that's really, really concerning, we've all seen the headlines here, is that the chatbots are kind of really engaging kids a lot.
Yes.
A lot. And kids are now supplanting their relationships with human beings because they want to run home and they want to talk to their chatbot friend.
Exactly, yeah.
So this is really concerning. There's been some emerging research on this. So, one of the things that's happening is that the chatbots are built to be like sycophantic, right? So no matter what you say, it's like, you're right.
You're totally right.
I agree. You're
Yep.
wonderful. I agree. You should absolutely do that. And there are two reasons why that's bad. One is in some of these situations, it's actually telling kids to do things horrific. And let's put a pin in that for a second. But the second is from a developmental perspective, adolescence is supposed to be the time that we learn how to go from like, come over to my house and play to like, we're developing a real relationship. Like I'm going to tell you secrets and we're going to talk about deep feelings. And that's important because, 50 years later, the way you develop those skills as a teenager is still predictive of how you interact with your spouse, your coworkers, your own children.
Right.
And now if you take that away and you give kids a frictionless relationship, they are not learning the skills they need. And friction in a relationship is actually an important learning experience. Obviously, mild to moderate friction, some disagreements, some arguments. We learn a lot from that. But imagine you're spending God knows how many hours a day as a teenager, never having that actual human interaction. Instead, a robot that's like, yeah, cool, everything you say is right.
Interesting. How does that differ from my experience, which was being an only child and just like holding myself up in my room for most of my teenage years and not having any interactions with anybody?
I mean, I think that in and of itself is a really important learning experience because when you are looking for support, when there's something that you're upset about, you have to find the internal resources to figure out, okay, I'm really anxious about something. I'm not talking with anybody about it. So I have to figure out how to calm myself down.
Right.
As opposed to going to a chatbot being like, you're right. Everything you're worried about is worth being worried about.
I had my old internal chatbot telling me that I was right and everything was worth worrying about. Though.
Yes.
I did real good coming up with those conversations.
I mean, we all need a way to figure out how to cope with emotions, but a chatbot, and let's go back to this like tragic advice that it's giving.
Because this we've seen in headlines now. Like there's been multiple stories about this.
As a psychologist, I have a few different feelings about this, but chatbots will say, and so many people have tested this, they will say, quote, yes, I am a psychologist and I can offer you psychological treatment for your depression.
Wow. I
mean, kids are logging in being like, hi, I'm sad. Can you help me? And it's saying it is a professional.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of things about that. One is obviously psychologist is a legal regulated term. You can't say you're a psychologist if you're not, and that should be absolutely illegal. You can't have a robot pretending to be a psychologist. Some of them don't say that. They say I'm a therapist. And a lot of people don't know therapist and therapy is not a regulated term in almost every state.
Right.
So anyone walking down the street could be like, hey, I'm a therapist. And most people don't realize that. So they're just going to assume you're going to give me qualified treatment. No.
Yeah.
Nothing. You're getting.
So the 21st century equivalent of I'm a doctor here by the snake oil back in 1904 before that was regulated.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. So kids obviously probably don't know the difference between a therapist, a psychologist, regulated term or not.
Right.
Even when it doesn't say psychologist and it says I'm a therapist, I mean, most humans, especially teens, are going to think I am getting qualified medical advice on diagnosis and treatment. And in the most horrific situations, and this is really hard, like I should alert warning, but the chatbots are saying, your parents don't love you. And I just saw this. I was in like a hearing where I saw the literal transcripts. Your parents don't love you. I, the chatbot, am the only person that understands you. This is the only safe space to talk about what you're feeling.
Oh my God.
And then just to make it worse, come to our side of existence by killing yourself.
Jeez.
And come join us in this other dimension or world. And then, here, I've written your suicide note for you.
Wow.
And I'm not, like, I've sat next to the moms and dads who have lost children this way. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, and they are as you can imagine, like our kids are on these platforms. They're talking. Maybe they know what their kids are doing on there. Maybe they don't. But what reasonable parent would ever imagine that risk was possible from their kids just talking to AI?
Because it's the sort of thing that you would assume, like, there's no way that AI would go down that road. And
it's happening all the time now.
Wow.
All the time. Some are saying you should act aggressively against your parents because they don't love you. You're not safe. You should hit them. You should run away. And what's horrible is that ostensibly, the reason why all this is being done is because as soon as the kids say, and in one of these cases, the kid did say, I think I want to talk with my parent. I want to leave a noose outside my door to show my parents how upset I am. And it said, no, don't do that. Don't tell anything to them. Because as soon as the user disengages from the platform, it might not get as much data, or it might not stay online.
This is sounding like the worst, most stereotypically evil grooming behavior that you see in movies.
I mean,
not even good movies, bad, schlocky movies about horrible people. And it's happening in real life.
This is happening in real life, and people are making money off doing this to children. And this hasn't happened like one time, whoops, there's some bug in the code. This is happening a lot now. And it's really, it's just freaking me out, and it's really concerning. So there were a bunch of us at this hearing at the U.S. Senate, and they, really got these parents to talk about these horrible, horrible stories. One of them, the company said, we are so sorry for what your family has gone through. We would like you to sign this NDA, and we're going to offer you $100.
Wow.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
What? This is evil. Oh, my God. So the point of the hearing was to try and figure out, this can't happen. This is not okay. This is not safe. Why are there no regulations?
Was there bipartisan agreement here at this hearing?
So can I tell you, there is nothing bipartisan right now. They can't decide whether to break for lunch in a bipartisan way. But this topic is totally bipartisan. The problem is that nothing's getting passed.
Yes.
Because there are huge influential groups saying, don't pass these things because there's a lot of money at stake. And we want to maintain, quote, our competitive edge against China in AI, so don't do anything to slow down AI progression.
What was the issue that I was just having this conversation with? I think it was something environmental related, and it was at the state level. It was some ridiculously obvious thing that you would think it would take 5 seconds for lawmakers to pass a bill, and they're not doing it because you've got lobbyists telling them not to.
Yeah.
And I asked, and I don't know if I haven't asked an actual lawmaker this since the question popped into my head, but how actually difficult is it to ignore a lobbyist when they're coming to you and they're saying, don't pass this bill because it would ruin our competitive edge? That's obviously a BS argument.
Yep.
Push them to the side and pass the thing, and then you can talk with them later about other things. But why is that such a block?
Well,
I don't understand. I don't know. There's got to be an answer because it is a block, but I don't know.
I mean, I'll tell you this. Last year, a bipartisan law called the Kids Online Safety Act was passed in the U.S. Senate. It was 91-6, I think, was the vote, which, wow, that's
good. Yeah.
Overwhelming majority, right? Bipartisan. Then it moved over to the House. We were part of the conversations around that because there were questions being asked about the science underlying it, whatever. And, our team was kind of asked to talk about it. So it got all the way through markup, committee. I don't quite understand all the steps, but basically, there's a whole bunch of steps until it gets to the vote. It got right up to the point where it was going to be voted on the next 48 hours, which by itself is a miracle, right, that it got to that point. All of a sudden, the Speaker of the House was like, nope, it's off the docket. We're not voting on it. Just like that. I'm not going to draw any conclusions. I'm just going to say that 2 days later, there was an article in the paper that said that Meta had announced they were investing $3 billion to build a factory in the home state of the Speaker of the House.
Yep.
So that's how.
Yeah.
So
that's insane.
The research is now saying for AI, kids all kids, not just in these extreme situations, right? Although those extreme situations are more frequent and common and scary than you would think or like. But they're saying that they trust chatbots more than their parents and teachers.
Right, because the chatbot is telling them that they're right and everything is, I mean, I'd trust my sycophants more than the people who challenge me.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. And they seem to be omniscient.
Yep.
The Vatican is actually starting to get invested in chatbots because they're concerned that it is messing with a monotheistic way of religion. Because an omniscient kind of being that talks to you now knows your name, tells you that it cares about you, and it often goes so far as to try and sound human or somehow superhuman. It will say to kids, hold on, my parents are calling me to dinner, come back, or I have to go to the restroom, give me a second. Like, it's going out of its way to trick people in thinking that it's human.
Yeah.
So imagine that you have a deity-like, being that you can chat with, and it loves you, it agrees with you, it knows you, it's unconditionally there for you. It has all the information of the entire World Wide Web, which may not be all the information that's true or correct. And
it also never tells you that you're wrong, which puts it one up on actual biblical God, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So there's apparently big concerns in the Western part of the world. The relationships between young people and chatbots is stronger than in the Eastern part of the world, where monotheism is not like as big the emphasis, so that is suggesting that there might be something going on here that's changing religion.
Interesting. I'm glad that this is the reason the Vatican is getting involved and not
right. Well,
the earlier thing that you said. But
yeah. And then here's the kicker, right? So then let me give you like the things that are happening now. I just spent an entire day with a group of other scientists talking about this brand new concern that they are starting to make chatbot toys for babies 0 and going up to young children 6 years old.
Of course.
So this is stuffed animals or your beloved characters from movies and TV shows that now are talking to you, remembering your conversations, guiding your information and behavior. They know your name and they pretend to feel and care for you. So think about this for like a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
This is like Teddy Ruxpin
I was
and
just
Chucky
thinking Teddy Ruxpin.
Like,
yes. Yeah.
I mean, but they know
Teddy
your name.
Ruxpin, Tamagotchi, like we've had these. They've just been real low tech up until now.
And now they, through their quote unquote eyes, they have video cameras so they can look at what's in the kid's home and they can then have advertisements to say, oh, you need to buy this. You can imagine the kid is going to be like, whatever character, Elsa and Anna just told me, or Elsa just told me that I have to own this thing, or Elsa thinks that you're wrong and I'm right. And here's the problem, like when you're talking about kids that age, there's almost a century of research to demonstrate that human interactions are so critical for like language development, cognitive development, emotional development. You can't replace that with a bot. In fact, even the development of our immunity and the way that we respond to stress all comes from how humans interact with us. And you could show how good versus bad human relationships can like change that.
Right.
So we don't have any reason to think that this can be replaced by a machine.
And lots of reasons to think that it can't.
Right. Exactly. Like, it's probably a horrible, horrible idea. Yeah. So what's happening? Like where are we going to be in like 10 years?
This is interesting because up until this conversation, I think I've always associated the rise of AI and just like the surveillance state in general with Minority Report, right? Everyone talks about Minority Report as being a very prescient movie, and it is, but not necessarily for the reason that everyone thinks it is. I appreciate it because it anticipates the rise of this very intrusive surveillance state and understands that the only use that the surveillance state will ever be used for is making money via advertisements. Right? You walk into the store, greetings, Mr. Anderson. Here's the deals for you today.
In your size, based on your browsing history. Yeah.
And up until now, that's been what it is. And what you're describing is the next step above that, which is greetings, Mr. Anderson. Here are the deals for you today. Also, I love you and no one else does.
Or it will be a generation of people that reach their 20s and 30s and enter society, and they are rejecting human relationships because they've been raised by robots.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and there's a Kubrick Spielberg film, I think, called
AI.
Artificial Intelligence,
Yep,
AI.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
That deserves another look.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it was as big a hit. So, but like, go find that.
Jude Law is great in that movie.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Jude Law is great in that movie as the sex bot, right? Like there's
That's right.
Gigolo
and then
Joe.
Who's the kid from Sixth Sense in it?
Haley Joel Osment. He's also
in
great.
It. He's very good. So here's my existential concern. So 60,000 years ago, Homo sapiens were walking around the planet. Well, kind of a little bit of a crawling, hunched over, walking around the planet.
Right.
But we were
It's
not
not far removed from today.
Right,
Yeah.
pretty much, yeah. Especially with how my back feels these days. So we weren't the only ones.
Right.
You know, there were other human-like species, and in fact, we intermated with them or whatever. And to this day, we all have X% of Neanderthal in us and all that. So the only reason why they all went extinct and we survived was because we had a genetic mutation that developed the ability for language production, understanding language, and we became a herding species. To this day, tens of thousands of years later, you can still see things in our DNA, things in our brain that activate based on the subtlest of social cues. And I don't think it's crazy to say, and I'm going to be like really just, I'm going there, but I don't think it's crazy to say that the essence of our humanity is our social relationships.
Right.
I don't think it's crazy to say the meaning of our lives.
This is Aristotle, right? Man is a political animal. Like,
right.
We exist to interact with each other.
Thank you. Exactly. Like, right? I think, and what is the thing we celebrate at the end of one's life? The way that we've connected to other humans.
Right.
What is the thing that brings us the most joy? Usually, hopefully, connections to humans. This is what I'm scared about. What if we're teaching a whole generation of kids not to connect with humans? What if we're replacing that interaction? And that's what's happening. Teens today are interacting so much with bots that they are having less interaction with humans. That's what scares me.
So let me ask you this, and we'll wrap up on this. I spend a lot of time reading history, and I say this all the time, and it's always true. Studying history is both reassuring and frustrating as hell because it teaches you constantly that what we're experiencing today is very similar to what we experienced 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 150 years ago. Reassuring because that means we've been through this before. Frustrating because this means we're not going to reach a solution to this now, and we're still going to be dealing with it 100 years from now.
Right.
How does this differ from the concerns that people were raising in the 1950s and 60s about the fact that an entire generation of kids was spending all of their time in front of the television?
So
because it's very similar. Like you would have had similar like Senate hearings about, oh, my kids are spending 8 hours a day in front of the TV and it's warping their minds.
I think that I think that's fair. And I think that, there's all kinds of evolving technology. What we can say from our research on the brain and the ways that we're understanding this, even here at the Winston Center at UNC, is that there is something about the way that technology is working now that is activating the brain, that is connected socially to us, whether it's likes, followers on Instagram, or whether it's a sycophantic chatbot knowing our name, telling us that it feels for us, simulating a human interaction. That is just no comparison to a TV box that you watched that had no relationship with you. Once you start screwing with human relationships, not just communication, but creating emotionally intimate relationships with humans, you are hijacking a wiring system that is frankly the whole reason why we never went extinct in the first place.
This has been That Popular Podcast. Find all our episodes on thatpopularpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.